Pay-per-meeting models, AI optimization. Why pay-per-meeting keeps showing up in B2B outbound. Pay-per-meeting, PPM, sounds like the cleanest deal in outbound. You skip the hiring drama, avoid ramp time, and only pay when a meeting hits an AE's calendar. For teams considering sales outsourcing, it can feel like a low-risk shortcut compared to building an internal SDR function from scratch. The reality is more nuanced. PPM is either a high ROI extension of your SDR motion or a high-volume calendar filler that quietly drains your pipeline. The problem isn't the model, it's the incentives. If a vendor gets paid for meetings booked, they'll optimize for meetings booked, even when the prospect is low fit, low intent, or simply being polite. That's why many leaders leave PPM thinking it doesn't work, when what actually failed was the definition of a qualified meeting and the lack of enforcement around it. AI is the lever that makes modern PPM viable at scale. When we use AI to tighten targeting, personalize without spamming, and filter weak meetings before they reach your reps, PPM stops being a volume game and becomes a quality engine. This is also where a disciplined cold calling agency or outbound sales agency can outperform a generic appointment setter, because quality control and optimization become part of the system, not an afterthought. What pay-per-meeting actually means and what it doesn't. In a true pay-per-meeting lead generation model, you pay an external provider only when a meeting meets predefined criteria, typically a held conversation with a decision maker at an ICP account. That provider might operate as an SDR agency, a B2B sales agency, or a specialist set of cold calling services and cold email agency capabilities working together. The key is that you're purchasing outcomes, not activity or hours. Pricing varies because meeting quality varies. Across B2B appointment setting services, typical pay-per-appointment pricing often lands between $75 to $500 per meeting, while more complex B2B tech and enterprise motions commonly range from $500 to $2,000 per meeting. Those numbers aren't inherently good or bad. They're just the baseline you use to sanity check what's being promised and what's being delivered. The biggest misconception is that PPM automatically reduces risk. It only reduces risk if your contract defines qualified in measurable terms, and your process prevents gaming, for example, counting reschedules, no-shows, interns, or nice-to-have chats as billable. Without those guardrails, PPM can become the most expensive way to waste AE time, because the opportunity cost of calendar clutter is usually higher than the invoice. Benchmark the real economics before you buy meetings. To evaluate any pay-per-meeting offer, you have to compare it to your true internal cost per meeting, not an SDR's base salary. Once you include fully loaded costs and realistic output, in-house SDR teams are often estimated at $350 to $600 per qualified meeting. This is why a cheap PPM offer can be a red flag. If someone claims they can reliably deliver enterprise-grade meetings for $100, you should assume quality will be the first casualty. Output benchmarks matter just as much as cost. Median SDRs tend to land around 8 to 10 qualified meetings per month, while top performers reach 12 to 15. If a vendor claims they'll deliver 30 qualified meetings per rep per month in a competitive category, your first move should be to audit definitions, show rate assumptions, and the channels they're using, especially if they're relying on low-intent list blasts. A practical way to decide is to model backwards from outcomes: what a qualified meeting is worth in pipeline, how often those opportunities close, and what margin you can spend to acquire them. This is the same math whether you hire SDRs, build an outsourced sales team, or partner with cold calling companies. PPM simply makes the unit economics more visible, which is a good thing if you measure the right units. Design the PPM program like an AI-backed SDR motion. If you want PPM to work, build it like you're designing an SDR function, just delivered by a partner. Start with an ICP that is narrow enough to win, then codify meeting qualification criteria in writing. The right account attributes, the right seniority, a real problem signal, and a clear next step. Your SLA should specify what counts as held, how no-shows are handled, and how quickly data must be pushed into your CRM for attribution. This is where AI becomes operational, not theoretical. AI-driven scoring can prioritize which accounts and personas even enter the outreach pool, and this is increasingly mainstream. 65% of B2B sales teams use AI insights to guide outreach strategy, and 71% of firms using AI in sales enablement exceeded revenue targets in 2024. In practice, that means PPM should start with AI-validated targeting, so your vendor isn't spraying the market just to hit a meeting quota. We recommend treating PPM as an extension of your outbound stack, email, phone, and data, rather than a standalone lead source. A strong sales development agency will combine list building services, B2B list building services, and multi-channel execution, including B2B cold calling services and cold call services, so meetings are the output of a repeatable system. At SalesHive, that's exactly how we run performance-based campaigns. AI assists the precision and personalization, while trained reps handle live conversations and qualification. Paper meeting only works when you pay for buyer intent, not calendar inventory. Use AI to increase relevance, not to increase noise. AI can improve PPM performance, but only when it's used to make outreach more relevant and less wasteful. Across 523 B2B companies, AI-augmented sellers produced 41% higher revenue per rep while doing 18% fewer activities. Proof that the win isn't more touches, it's better touches. In a PPM context, that translates to fewer junk meetings and more conversations that convert downstream. The common mistake is letting generative AI write generic outreach that sounds professional but reads like everyone else. Buyers don't reward polish, they reward relevance. The best approach is to use AI to extract a small number of specific, verifiable hooks, company signals, role context, tech environment. Then keep your value proposition consistent so you can test and improve it without introducing random variation. This is also where channel mix matters. Great cold callers can validate fit in minutes, while email scales personalization and LinkedIn can reinforce credibility, if the messaging is tight. The goal isn't to replace humans with automation. It's to let AI handle research and pattern recognition while your SDRs, internal or outsourced, do what humans do best: ask good questions, qualify accurately, and earn real next steps. Prevent low-quality meetings with AI-enforced guardrails. Low-quality meetings happen when qualified is subjective and enforcement is manual. Fix that by making qualification auditable. Firmographics and persona requirements must be validated before the meeting is accepted, and the meeting must be held to be billable. Then add automation so you're not relying on a busy AE to police every calendar invite after the fact. AI helps you score meeting quality using objective signals: how closely the attendee matches ICP, how engaged they were, talk time balance, question depth, and whether a credible next step was set. This is how you stop vendors from gaming pay-per-appointment lead generation, because you're not only counting meetings, you're measuring whether those meetings behave like real opportunities. When quality scoring is tied to payment terms or scaling decisions, vendors quickly learn what good actually means. Don't overlook the human layer either. A disciplined cold calling team can disqualify weak prospects in real time, while AI can triage and flag edge cases for review. The best cold calling agency setups combine both. AI validates the inputs and outcomes, and experienced reps handle the conversations that determine whether a meeting is worth your AE's time. Optimize with closed-loop feedback from CRM and Call Data. Most PPM programs fail because optimization stops at meeting held. If you want sustainable results, you need a feedback loop from CRM outcomes back into targeting, messaging, and channel strategy. That means every meeting should be tagged to a campaign, tracked through opportunity creation, and measured on pipeline value per meeting, not just show rate. AI makes this loop fast enough to matter. When you combine conversation intelligence with CRM attribution, you can identify which segments convert, which talk tracks produce credible pain, and which sources create opportunities that actually move. This kind of system-level learning is also why sellers who effectively partner with AI are reported to be 3.7x more likely to hit quota, because the organization gets smarter each week instead of repeating the same guesses each quarter. From an execution standpoint, treat your partner like an internal team. Weekly calibration, clear win-loss reasons, and documented changes to lists and sequences. Whether you outsource sales to a B2B sales outsourcing provider or build in-house, the operating cadence is the same. At SalesHive, we've seen that when clients share downstream conversion feedback consistently, the quality of meetings improves faster than any single tool upgrade can deliver. What's next? Turning PPM into a compounding advantage. The future of PPM isn't cheaper meetings, it's smarter meetings, where every booked conversation has a higher probability of turning into pipeline. That's consistent with the broader macro trend. Generative AI is estimated to unlock $0.8 to $1.2 trillion in additional annual productivity across sales and marketing globally, and Outbound is one of the most measurable places to capture that value. For revenue leaders, the opportunity is to turn each campaign into a learning system that compounds over time. Your next practical step is a controlled pilot with hard gates, a narrow ICP slice, a single offer, and a defined measurement window that tracks beyond meetings into opportunities. Use AI scoring to decide which accounts go to your internal team and which go to your outsourced B2B sales motion. Then, compare cohorts on pipeline per meeting and cost per dollar of pipeline created. This is the portfolio approach to Outbound. Allocate resources to what performs and rebalance monthly based on evidence. If you're evaluating an outsourced sales team or comparing SDR agencies, look for transparency and process maturity, not just volume promises. Ask how they validate data, how they run B2B cold calling, how they prevent unqualified meetings, and how they use AI without turning your brand into generic automation. When teams review options like SalesHive, SalesHive pricing, and SalesHive reviews, the best signal is whether the partner can prove quality with downstream conversion, and whether their system can keep improving without constant micromanagement.